How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geek Critique Show. I'm Dakota.
I'm Jen.
And we're going to be talking all about Blade Runner. We recently saw the movie. It was a few days back now that we saw it, before Memorial Day weekend, and we haven't had the time to actually get this review out to you guys, but after doing a reaction to Blade Runner 2049, which came out maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, the trailer anyway, a lot of you wanted us to do a review of Blade Runner. We teased it, and we're doing it.
I had confessed that I had not seen Blade Runner previously. I was ashamed, but you guys accepted me for who I was and told me I can be better than this. And I stand here in front of you today. I have seen Blade Runner, and it was glorious and frightening.
Yes, and I had seen Blade Runner only once before this, and that was way back in the early days of high school, so I needed a refresher, and you guys told us definitely watch the final cut. Mm-hmm. Some of you said to watch 2 or 3 versions to see what the differences are, but we don't have that much time, unfortunately.
We had family over this weekend. We actually still have family over. It was just a little hard because we really wanted to get this out this weekend. I actually really wanted to see the movie more than once, but I did just see it the one time, but I am planning on watching it at least one more time before seeing the next Blade Runner, because I feel like to me seems like the type of movie that I'll get something different out of it every time that I watch it. Just because there's so many details, I feel like there's so many little things that I totally am questioning and wanting to get more info on. So I'm really excited to look deeper into it.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what the movie's about, the setting of the movie. It takes place in LA in 2019. It's 2017 now, Jen, and we're on the other side of the country. Do you feel like LA is going to look like this in 2 years' time?
Absolutely.
It's not too far off, huh?
Not at all. I mean, I've never been to LA, so from now on, this is just what I'm going to picture.
Will it be disappointing if it's not like that? Like, if there's not, huge billboards with, Asian women's faces just, smiling at you, trying to sell their products, that's going to be a little
I'll be very, very disappointed. LA will be ruined to me.
I used to live in LA, so I know what it actually looks like.
And it looks just like that, so good. And I feel like there's going to be little origami animals everywhere where all the replicants have died. So.
Yeah, we're Gaff, the character Gaff, he will place the origami figures down. I didn't know this until just before we filmed this. The actor who plays Gaff also plays Adama in the rebooted Battlestar Galactica series.
Or
he doesn't look anything alike.
Or if you were born in the Bronx, you might know him as the actor who played Jennifer Lopez's father in Selena.
I wasn't born in the Bronx.
I was, and that's what I know him from.
So let's talk a little bit about the technology of this world. I think the coolest bit of technology for me was not the floating cars or anything, because that's going to happen. But the scene where he's dictating to his computer screen or to his television screen, to zoom in on the picture.
Oh, yeah, that actually, I was
left, move right.
Why can't we do that now?
The ability to, zoom in on the minutia of a picture and actually, focus and extrapolate data that isn't actually visible to the human eye is just crazy to me.
Yeah. No, that was really cool. When he zoomed in super far and then found the girl with, the tattoo in the corner. It's what?
Yeah.
How did... Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's he actually found something, around the corner of something in the picture. It was just what?
How you do that?
How you do that? Rick Deckard? So what do you think of Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford?
I don't know why, I wasn't expecting him to be the way that he was. And right from the first few minutes, I'm is he a replicant? I'm trying to figure it out, right from the start, and I don't think they were really trying to conceal that might be a possibility. You know, you can see, he's a little different. He's a little off.
And I think in the original film, it is more ambiguous as far as is he or isn't he.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but in the final cut, which is what we watched,
it's a little clearer.
It's a little clearer at the end.
Yeah, because to me, but even to me, right from the start, you just kind of get a replicant vibe, the lack of, there's just and that's kind of what I was talking to him about. I've been trying to pinpoint exactly what makes the replicants different.
replicant.
Yeah, what makes them a replicant, because it's not just that they act a little weird, but there is like a disconnect, and it's almost like an unawareness, a lack of care with like their own like preservation of their bodies. And even seeing Roy just like shoving his head through walls. I know I'm jumping ahead quite a bit. And like he obviously goes a little off his rocker because he knows he's gonna die soon. With Rick Deckard, you kind of see him doing that a little. Like he will literally do anything to get his end goal. And even like the lack of concern, when he's told he'll be arrested and he's just like wanting his noodles, like that to me was like a disconnect. It's like that's not how like a human. But then again, you could also think, okay, he's a really toughened person and he knows who he is and what his career is, and he really doesn't care. So I don't know, I was kind of torn the whole time. I'm like, is he, isn't he, what's going on? And in every situation, I think you kind of are like, no, but there's something like slightly off about him. But then you're like, but he has a really tough life,
Yeah, and his designation as a Blade Runner isn't made explicitly clear. Like, is that a special designation of replicant in and of itself that is tasked to take down rogue replicants by the police force?
And that's kind of like what I assumed right from the start. So I don't know.
And even when Rachel asks if he's ever taken the test, that like you're able to tell if someone's actually a replicant or not based on their reactions and like something with their pupils. Like I said, like a disconnect that like from reality that they express,
Yeah.
It just starts to make you wonder, like maybe he is, because he kind of just doesn't seem normal. But overall, how did you feel Harrison Ford did with his?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I thought he did great.
Are there any actors in this movie that you felt like didn't hit the mark?
No,
What about some of the like replicants?
No, I was really like I really think all of them did a great job at freaking me out. Like
She was scared.
So then that night, our bathroom is like in a dark hallway, and I had to go into the dark hallway alone, and I kept picturing Roy with that like weird run that he did running towards me. Tell her, I had him come up with me. I wanted to brush my teeth, I wanted to wash up, and I did not want to be alone. I am such a scaredy cat, and I just kept picturing Roy's creepy freaking run following me around. It was terrifying. My adrenaline was rushing after watching that.
Which is why we will never be doing any like reactions or reviews to any horror movies or anything.
You don't
super
understand.
Suspenseful, just because it's just not going to work.
I get nightmares. It's sad. I'm 5. I'm literally 5.
Who was your favorite of the replicants that we know for like a certainty that they are replicants? We have Chris, we have Roy, we have Rachel. The actress who played Rachel was so pretty, I think.
Oh yeah, she's just got like a really stunning look about her. And then what's the other one? I forget her name. The one that she was like naked and she fought him.
Oh, the one that like did the show with the fake snake.
Zora. She did a great job, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. That like lack of concern, like as a girl to see someone like she was in, like that's your most vulnerable state. Like you're completely naked and you know that you might fight this guy, and she just like that lack of concern, and then she's like, zip me up. You're like, for a human naturally to turn your back to your enemy directly, that's so scary to me. Like they're willing to like risk
everything,
you know what I'm saying? And that's something that even if it is like, 'cause she did get him that way, like that was really smart of her to do, but I feel like that is something the natural instincts of a human being would be so against doing that, putting your back to the person you know you're gonna fight and you know who's here to kill you. I really liked that scene. I thought that was really cool, and she was like putting on her armor almost, like in just such like a casual way. But I think obviously Roy stole the show. Rutger Hauer did an incredible job.
Yeah, well, fantastic actor to begin with.
It is amazing. And that whole last scene where he's kind of like, it's almost like watching a cat toy with its prey a little. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's kind of the vibe that I got in that last scene with Rick and Roy. And man,
why don't we actually watch that so that we can get a bigger grasp on like the speech, the Roy Batty speech.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, that was beautiful. And our friend Dan actually told us this scene wasn't written like this. but that Rutger Hauer actually told the director that's crap. Like, whatever
was in the script, like, needed to go, and he was just going to come up with something improvisationally. And this is what he came up with.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, so let's look into it.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
This is beautiful. It's beautiful and it's tragic, and it's the empathy you feel for a character who you know is a deadly weapon. Basically, he's an android, essentially, these replicants, and he just chased Harrison Ford all over the house, and all of a sudden he realizes these are his final moments, and he's talking about all the memories that he has. All of a sudden, once his speech is over, he's dead. All those memories are gone. It's fantastic. It's probably one of the greatest scenes in all of film.
And the emotion that it stirs up in you, even though he's describing things that he's seen that, you know, we can't really relate to. Because a little bit earlier than this, you know, he says to Rick to live in fear. That's what it's like to be a slave. And to me, you think of what people must have said or done in front of him that they might not have said or done in front of another human. And, you know, he's talking about war. He's been treated like a machine his whole life. The information, the memories that he have can be so valuable. The lessons that he's learned in life can be so valuable, but because he was designed to fail, to die prematurely, he can't impart that onto anyone.
Yeah.
Besides Rick, and that's why he spares him. He's trying to teach someone. He's trying to pass on what he's learned. He tried so hard to survive, and he can't. And he's just trying to help. And it's beautiful. And nothing about it is overly sappy or overly anything. It's very factual, and I think that's what makes it hit home the most. Because he's just trying to express, you know.
But yeah, it does, like, show, at least to him, like, what it means to be mortal. For us who are mortal, we can take a lot from the meaning of this, even in our lives, basically. Once we go, so do our memories. And basically, like, unless we find a way to record them, they'll be lost like tears in rain.
Yeah. And in each perspective is so unique, so different, that to see that it's a very poignant way of describing death. It's a whole lifetime of perspective and experience lost. And that sucks. And that's terrible. This is done so beautifully and so perfectly.
I don't want to get too caught up in every little thing about this one scene in particular, but overall, Jen, like, what did you think of Blade Runner? Your first viewing. What is your immediate reaction?
I loved it. Like, right when the movie was finished, you know, when you see a good movie and you just have that feeling after, like, what do I do now? Like
that. It's almost like pure satisfaction.
To me, it's like not emptiness, but like you're. Like, you felt it all, and now you're, like, exhausted. Like, you've just been, like, emotionally dragged through a whole bunch of stuff. Like, that's how you know it was, like, a movie that you were so invested in. And this one, it's very progressional and very slow building, and you don't even realize how tied you are into it until the very end. And I love that. Because it's kind of like you're just picking up little stuff here and there. I'm just curious to know, like, what the designers of the replicants were thinking, like, even with the memories that they embedded in them, like a lot of, like, loss of innocence memories and memories that stir up emotions in the AI. Like why would you do that? Like why would you torture them that way?
Yeah.
If you want
that's
them
weird.
Yeah, if you want them to function as machinery, then like why did they, and to even see Rachel realize I'm a replicant, and to see that like sadness on her face, like does this make me less whole? Does this make me less human? She had no idea. But I wonder if she felt all her life that like disconnect with others.
There's so much to get into with this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I
beautiful.
absolutely loved it, and I am really excited to watch the other versions of it, the other cuts of it, and to learn more about it. I feel like I'm just skimming the surface, honestly.
We'll definitely watch it again before we see the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. So that's really exciting. Without Blade Runner, there'd be no Matrix, there'd be no Akira, there'd be no Ghost in the Shell. It's such an influential movie for science fiction, and I think it's underrated almost. Like, everyone considers it to be the best of the best, but nobody talks about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not one of those things that's talked about. It's not a Star Wars, it's not a Star Trek, it's not a Marvel, and of course it's not. Because it was one film, 1982, that has grown almost like a cult following, and I'm so glad to see that it's getting the light of day again. And I'm glad to give it the light of day again, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, and let us know your thoughts.
Yes. If you've watched up to this far,
God, that's the spirit!
the key word today is, that's the spirit.
That's the spirit!
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do. If you don't already follow us, we make a lot of videos.
That's the spirit.
You might like. Anyway guys, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.